Hi everyone, my name is Susana Baez and my pronouns are she and her. I'm a student recruiter advisor at the University of British Columbia. Welcome to our UBC presentation. I would like to acknowledge that I'm currently situated within the unceded territory of the Seals Okanagan Nation, otherwise referred to as the city of Kelowna. I would also like to acknowledge the lands where you're all watching this from. Within the Seals Okanagan Nation territory, we can find the location of our campus in Kelowna, often referred to as the Okanagan campus. Our Vancouver campus is located in the traditional, ancestral, and unceded Musqueam territory. As an uninvited guest of the Seals Okanagan peoples of Kelowna and first-generation Canadian, I am grateful and aware of my responsibility to grow and continue to learn with the most sincere respect of these lands, where the many shared social and learning experiences have occurred long before my arrival and will continue to do so into the future. I invite those of you watching to reflect upon your own relation to the land where you're currently situated in, and I encourage you to be thankful for being able to learn, grow, and very importantly, understand your positional role in these lands. As you're listening to this presentation and really any other university presentation, I encourage you all to think about your own interests, your goals, and your passions. This will help you to start thinking about your own post-secondary story. Today's presentation is divided into 3 different sections. We're going to talk about our campus locations, also UBC's application process and admission requirements, and finally, we are going to mention the many different experiences that are available to all students outside of the classroom. Now, location is important. This will impact your academics and your lifestyle. I'll start by sharing some neat facts about UBC's Okanagan campus. This campus was founded in 2005 and has the unique distinction of being founded in partnership with local Indigenous peoples, the Seals Okanagan Nation. Another neat fact is that the buildings are actually heated and cooled using energy from the groundwater under the campus. And finally, the Skeena residence at UBC's Okanagan campus is the first passive house-certified student residence in Canada. This means it requires very little energy for space heating and cooling. This campus is considered medium in size, and here you really get the best of both worlds. You enjoy being at a world-class institution while having the benefits of a close, tight-knit campus community. Each year, this campus becomes even more diverse as we welcome students from all over Canada, as well as from all around the world. And the number of Indigenous students is also rapidly increasing, and now just over 700 Indigenous students. With that, I would like to highlight the Indigenous Center here because it provides a sense of belonging and community to First Nations, Métis, and Inuit students. Now let's switch gears and talk about some neat facts about UBC's Vancouver campus. The First Nations Longhouse here serves as a home away from home, as well as academic, social, and spiritual hub for Indigenous students attending UBC. This campus also often ranks as one of the most filmed locations in the world, with many movies and TV shows that continue to be filmed here. Finally, the Beatty Biodiversity Museum at this campus houses Canada's largest blue whale skeleton. This is one of the few places in the world where you can get close to the biggest creature that has ever lived on Earth. The Vancouver campus is much larger in size, but without compromising community. Each faculty does a good job at fostering community amongst their students through orientations, activities, and events. It is an incredibly diverse campus with students joining us from 148 different countries. Now, keep in mind, some of our degrees and programs are offered at both campuses, and some are only offered at one. So what you choose to study could determine where you will study. But remember, no matter what campus you attend, you will end up with a UBC degree, which is recognized and respected around the world. And at UBC, you will receive great academic excellence. And this is closely tied to our university rankings, as UBC consistently ranks in the top 3 universities in Canada and top 40 universities around the world. This reflects the caliber of our professors who are really good at what they do in terms of research and teaching. And no matter what you choose to study, rest assured your program is highly ranked within Canada according to Maclean's magazine. Whether you're interested in health and exercise sciences or arts, you are going to get a top educational experience at UBC. Now, I also want to highlight the difference between degrees and specializations. UBC has 44 undergraduate degrees across the 2 campuses. And these degrees are what you will apply to and what you will graduate with. For example, the Bachelor of Sustainability or Bachelor of Media Studies. There are many ways to customize your degree through combining majors and minors, perhaps first-year study options and dual degree programs. It really is up to you, and this typically happens later on in your degree after first year or sometimes even later than that. Now, we do know students learn in many different ways, and our faculty strive to engage and inspire students through all the unique and different innovative academic opportunities. Now that I've talked to you a bit about the community of learning at UBC and our 2 campuses, I'm going to hand things over to my colleague, Sean, who's going to talk about the application process. Over to you, Sean.
Thank you so much, Susie, for that introduction. As mentioned, I'm Sean, and I'm a recruiter advisor here at the University of British Columbia. Now we're going to switch gears a little bit and talk about the admission process at UBC and the things you might want to consider when choosing UBC as one of your post-secondary options. Now, before I begin all of the admissions process, one of the things that I will mention here is that we have a variety of pathways for you to join UBC. One of the first ones that many of you joining us today will be considering is the direct entry pathway. And that's for students who are currently in grade 12 and looking to enter UBC directly from high school after you've graduated. We also have options for students to transfer to UBC. Now, this is for many students who may not be sure that they want to join UBC right from the get-go, or you may need to take a little bit of time to think about what you want to do with your program. So you can always choose to apply to a different institution, like a university or college, either locally in British Columbia or across Canada or anywhere else in the world. And then you could apply to transfer to UBC in your second or third year of university after completing a certain number of credits. We also offer a number of different pathway programs. Particularly, some of the programs are for students who self-identify as Indigenous. So if you're looking to know more information about some of those pathway programs, please feel free to visit our u.ubc.ca website. That's you.ubc.ca website to get more information on these types of pathway programs and all of the options that are available to you for coming to UBC at various points of your educational journey. Now, the next thing you'll likely want to consider when choosing your post-secondary options are what you're actually going to study. Now, at UBC, we have a variety of different bachelor's degrees. We have a wide variety of specializations and programs, like Susie talked about in the presentation earlier. But you're going to want to know before you start the application process a little bit more about what you're going to study. Now, the reason for this is because at UBC, some of our programs are only located on our Okanagan campus. We also have some programs that are located on our Vancouver campus. And then there are also a variety of programs that are offered on both of our campuses. So when you're applying to UBC, you may actually choose the Vancouver or the Okanagan campus to align with the program that you're interested in. Or maybe you just know that you want to study on one particular campus and you can choose programs that are located on that particular campus. Now, when you're applying to UBC, one of the things that I'll also mention here is that you get 2 program choices. Now, it's the same UBC application regardless of the campus that you're choosing. And on those 2 program choices, you could choose 2 programs on our Okanagan campus, 2 programs in Vancouver, or you could actually choose 1 program on each campus. It's really up to you to decide what the best fit for you is going to be. Now, if you want to do a little bit more research on all of the things that we have to offer in terms of subject areas and programs and specializations and options, we have this really fantastic section of our website for particular programs. Now, this, as I mentioned, is located on the you.ubc.ca website. You'll be able to see here a snapshot of that particular website with a list of different areas of study that you could choose. One of the other great things about this website is at the very top, you do have a section where you could actually type in the subject of interest that you have and select that program and select that specialization based on that interest that you have. You may also want to consider filtering by campus. If you know you want to study on our Okanagan campus, you can check that box for the Okanagan to make sure you're seeing all of the programs that are offered on that particular campus. Now we can go down a little bit deeper into the subject areas. If you know you want to study something in particular, you can actually take a look at the program website to see exactly what they're talking about in terms of what you're going to be studying in that particular program. You'll also notice that you can dive down to see a little bit more about where the campus is going to be located for that particular program, the length of the degree, and information about some of the options that are available to you in that particular program as well. Now, the next thing you'll want to think about in the admission process is going to be about what courses you're going to need to take in order to be eligible for admission to that particular program. So these are what we call prerequisite requirements for each individual bachelor's degree. So this could be the prerequisites for a Bachelor of Science degree, for example. On our u.ubc.ca website, we have this really fantastic section, of course, for applying to UBC. You can drill down into the admission requirements. You can select Canadian high school, and then you're going to be able to see exactly what requirements are needed of you depending on the province that you're located in British Columbia. Now, these are exactly that, prerequisite requirements, in the sense that you do need to have these courses completed by the end of your high school career to be eligible to apply and be considered for admission for the particular program or bachelor's degree that you're interested in studying at UBC. So you want to make sure that you've covered off all of those prerequisites before you actually apply to a program as well. Now, the next thing I wanted to talk about here, of course, is going to be the application process itself. Now, at UBC, we've moved to use what's called a common application through Education Planner BC. Now, this is for all students applying to UBC. You can create an Education Planner BC or Apply BC account. You put in all of your personal information. And then at the same time, not only can you apply to UBC, but you may also be able to apply to other institutions or other post-secondary institutions in the province of British Columbia as well. So this is a really great and convenient place for you to start planning your post-secondary education and where you might want to apply to UBC. So this is the website that you will use for all things applying to UBC. Now, on this application, we do have a section for self-identifying as Indigenous. So if you are a student who's joining us today and you do self-identify as Indigenous, we would encourage you to tell us that information on our application. Now, the reason for this is because we will be able to connect you with all of the resources that we have available to you as an Indigenous student at UBC. So that's everything from specialized advisors, some program information, specific information about scholarships for Indigenous, and much, much more as well. So if you do self-identify as Indigenous, I would encourage you to let us know on the UBC application. Now, at UBC, on the application, we also have something called the academic profile. Now, for those students who are studying in the province of British Columbia, what this is going to mean for you is that once you've submitted your application to UBC, you're going to actually need to go back to the student transcripts website through the Ministry of Education in BC and approve UBC as one of the institutions that is allowed to receive your transcripts. The reason for that is because we are going to be using those transcripts that we get from the ministry to be able to evaluate your application moving forward into the admission cycle. Now, for students who may be joining us from outside of the province, you may actually be prompted on a particular screen to input all of the academic courses that are listed on your transcript. So if that section of the application comes up, you want to, of course, make sure that you're providing us with information about all of your grade 11 and grade 12 academic courses as well. Now, many of you are probably wondering, what are we actually looking for at UBC in the admission process? Now, of course, academic performance is going to be really important here. So doing well in both of your grade 11 and your grade 12 years is going to be important. And as I mentioned previously, we're going to be looking at all of those academic classes that are taken in both your grade 11 and your grade 12 year. We also take a look at some of those subjects that are going to be related to the program that you're actually applying for at UBC. So for example, if you're applying to the Bachelor of Science program, all of those science courses that you take, like chemistry, physics, maybe mathematics, are going to be quite important and looked at a little bit more closely in the evaluation of your application. Now, once we've looked at your academics, we're also going to be looking at what's called a personal profile. And I'm going to talk about the personal profile in a few moments. That's going to be some short answer questions, sort of like an essay that you'll consider in the application process. Some of our programs also require supplementary information, and this is going to be related to some of those programs that require either a portfolio or maybe an audition, for example. So if you're applying to something like fine arts or music, there's going to be an additional component to the application that's going to be considered as part of the admission process as well. And then we take all of this information that we're looking at in terms of academics, the personal profile, and any supplementary information to make an overall decision on your application. Now, as I just mentioned, we do have something called the personal profile. The personal profile section of the UBC application is your opportunity to tell us about who you are outside of the classroom. So this is your way to let us get to know you outside of your academic studies. So on your personal profile, you'll have the opportunity to fill out some questions that we're asking you and potentially provide us with information about up to 5 activities that you've done throughout your high school career. Now, this is a really important part of the application because it can mean the difference between getting into UBC and not. Now, I wanted to give you a few tips on the UBC application, particularly with relation to this personal profile. Now, this is really a reflection piece. So what that means is that we're not asking you just to list all of those activities that you've completed in high school, but select those things that were actually most important to you overall so that you can highlight those things that you learned about and that you did and got involved with throughout high school. So make sure that you're actually selecting those things that are most important to you. Now, one of the things that I like to talk about in this section of the application is that it's really important to start early and put as much effort into this as possible. Because as I mentioned, this can actually mean the difference between getting into UBC and not. And again, reflecting on those things in terms of why you started doing them in the first place, why were those things important to you, and what you learned from them doing them in the process of doing them throughout high school as well. Now, there's a really great section on our website that provides me with actually a little video on what it's like to fill out the personal profile. We also provide you in advance with all of the personal profile questions, and we also list the criteria that we're looking for within that personal profile. So I'd encourage you to go take a look at that website to make sure you're getting all of the information that you need in terms of the application process to UBC. Now, that's the end of my section here. I'm going to hand this over to my colleague, Sasha, to talk a little bit more about some of the deadlines and some of the things you want to consider moving forward into the application process as well.
Thanks so much for all that really helpful application information, Sean. I have a few more things to share with you, and I first want to introduce myself. I'm Sasha. I'm another student recruiter advisor here at the University of British Columbia. So let's move right along here. Applying to UBC, we've learned from Sean how to do it, and there's a few other things I want to remind you of. So deadlines, keep in mind that we have some important deadlines here for applying to UBC. December 1st is our first deadline, and if you apply by December 1st, you're going to be eligible for first round admission offers as well as our entrance scholarships. Now, I want to remind you that there's no reason why you shouldn't apply by December 1st. It's not going to put you at a disadvantage. We're just going to get your information a bit earlier, meaning we can take a look at it a bit earlier as well. And it is a key date if you want to be considered for those first round offers as well as our scholarships. One key scholarship that I want to mention today is our Beyond Tomorrow Scholars Program. Now, this is a new program at UBC for self-identified Black Canadian students. So students who identify as Black can apply for this award, which can be up to $80,000 one time or renewable. And this is also an opportunity for Black Canadian students at UBC to connect with one another, and there's programming in place to create community and really build this community on our UBC campuses. So if this is of interest to you, please check this out, and we'd be happy to help if you have any questions. Now, the most important deadline, well, one of the most important deadlines is the last day to apply to UBC, which is January 15th. So if you're not interested in being considered for a scholarship, or you just missed that December 1st deadline and needed some more time, not to worry. As long as you apply by January 15th, we'll still consider your application. Now, if you're interested in living on campus at either of our campuses, another deadline to keep in mind would be May 1st. Now, if you're a first-year student, you are guaranteed housing at either of our campuses as long as you apply by May 1st. So definitely keep that one in the calendar, as living on campus can be an amazing opportunity, which I'll chat more with you about a little later. I also want to mention that the housing application is separate from your application applying for admission to UBC. So this will be another application you have to fill out, and there are also different applications depending on which campus you're applying to. You can find all the information you need about housing at UBC on our housing site, which is you.ubc.ca, but also specific to housing, housing.ubc.ca. Now, if we're thinking about funding, we're thinking about money, it's helpful to have a timeline in mind. This helps us be prepared for what's coming and what we are looking forward to. So I've mentioned some of these deadlines already, such as December 1st, January 15th. Those are our application deadlines. And also, if you want to be considered for a scholarship, December 1st is very important. Once we get into spring and summer of the year you apply, that's when you might be applying for provincial student loans or band funding if you're an Indigenous student. In the fall, once you're about to start at UBC, that's when you would start to apply for UBC bursaries for funding as well. Now, we know that funding for your education can be a daunting topic, it can be stressful, but having a plan can be really helpful. And we have lots of support for you at UBC to talk through these topics. We have a commitment to our students that if finances are the only barrier for Canadian students not being able to attend UBC, we won't allow that to happen. So we'll get some support for you. Now, if you want to start to think about planning your own budget, this is a really good tool, which is our first year cost calculator. So here's an example of what comes up for first year cost. And by your first year, we are referring to the full school year, so from September to the end of April. Now, you can see that our estimate here includes three things: domestic tuition, room and board, as well as some additional costs. Now, domestic tuition, we've estimated here at about $5,729. Our room and board comes in at about $15,000. So room and board includes housing and food. Additional costs we've budgeted there for about $3,300. And of course, all these numbers are going to depend on your lifestyle habits. You know, do you cook at home? Do you eat out? Where are you living? What classes are you taking? How many classes are you taking? But on average, we estimate your first year cost should come in at around $24,029. So just over $24,000. And again, we know this can be a bit stressful. So really take the time to look into some of our resources. You can go on our website. There's a financial planning tab that allows you to calculate costs. It's really specific to your own situation. And this can really help you prepare for what's to come. Now at UBC, we're not just about books. We're not just about learning, although those are really key parts of your experience. There's lots of other things to experience on campus as well. And you're going to have a lot of choices about what it is that you want to participate in. Is it research, work experience, athletics, clubs, go global, health and wellness? There's so many choices. So let's talk about some of the things that you might be interested in participating in on campus to really have a full, well-rounded university experience. So something I get a lot of questions about, something people are really interested in, is our work experience components. All of our different degrees have this available for you. This is an opportunity for you to do some full-time work related to the field that you're studying in, make some money, you do get paid, and also gain what I would say is invaluable real-world experience. So these are some of the companies that we've worked with in the past that have taken on our co-op students. You can see that there's some pretty major companies, and you can just imagine the type of experiences you would have here. This would look great on your resume. This helps prepare you for a job market, post-degree, all of those things. And overall, it just really is an opportunity to apply what you're learning in the classroom and really put that knowledge and skills to test. Now, if you're a sporty person, or maybe you're not a sporty person like me, but you still enjoy getting involved, we have a lot of opportunities for you to get involved in athletics on both of our campuses. So we have over 35 varsity teams, but there's also so many opportunities for you to do intramurals, just to do recreational things. I love yoga, so I do that on campus. Tons of different things for you to get involved in with a team. And we know that being a part of a team is a great way to make friends. It's also a great way to connect with people, get outside, and also stay healthy. So we have lots of ways for you to do that on both of our campuses. Now, we also have other ways for you to find your people, is what I call it. Find the people who share common interests through our clubs and events. We do have a lot to choose from, over 360 different student-run clubs and course unions between our two campuses. A few favorites: the yoga club on our Vancouver campus, low-cost yoga classes accessible to students and staff like me. We also have our ice cream club on the Okanagan campus, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's all about eating ice cream together and having a good time. So who would pass that up? Now, there's lots of other options as well. And if for some reason you don't find the exact club with the exact people that you want, you can create your own club. And this is kind of the beauty of taking the reins and choosing your experiences at UBC. Now, this is a favorite of mine, Go Global. I absolutely love to travel. This is something I missed a lot during the pandemic, and maybe you feel the same. So Go Global is an opportunity for UBC students to do an exchange, to go study at one of our partner institutions, one of 240 that we partner with all over the world. You're going to get to continue your studies there and also have an amazing experience. So this student is hanging out in Edinburgh in Scotland, and it looks gorgeous. I'm jealous. Maybe you are too. So this is something you can check out. Something that is really cool about this is that you're always going to be paying the same tuition as you would at your home campus, which means it's a lot more financially accessible than we might think. There's also scholarships and bursaries available for this type of thing. If you need financial support, we can figure that out as well. So if you're more interested in research, see yourself more in the labs and on a plane somewhere else, that's totally okay. You're actually in luck, because UBC is a really well-respected research university. We have 9,500 different projects underway at any given time. And this is another way to put your skills to the test. So from the classroom, getting some real world experience, doing research, exploring the topics you're interested in can not only be incredible for your learning, but also another thing that looks great on your resume or applications for grad school in the future. Now, we know that health and wellness has been a challenge globally for the last few years, and we want to make sure that we have resources for our students and staff on campus to stay well. So we are really happy to say that we have over 10 different peer and professional networks on our campuses that can support students and ensure that they're also caring for their mental health. We know that mental health is not just about physical activity or services, but it's also about belonging. So we have a diverse range of different types of resources that you can connect with and hopefully find one that is the right fit for you and the right kind of support to stay well. All right, so I already talked about the housing deadlines, but student housing is another way that you can really get integrated in your community, have an amazing experience, and really build community. We have amazing residence advisors who are all about building community. And lots of students are nervous to live away from home for the first time. So what I always say is you're in the same boat as everyone else. Everyone's coming to university wanting to make new friends and connect. And living on campus is a really amazing way to kind of have that full university experience. Now, if you know that you're not going to be living on campus, not to worry. We actually have what are called collegia, student lounges for commuter students, where they can hang out, use the kitchen, talk to other students, study, take a nap, watch Netflix on both of our campuses. So this is kind of like being able to have the student housing experience without actually living on campus. So there really is something for everyone. Now, only you are going to be the one to choose what will happen in your story, how this will go for you, exploring, learning, and sharing with us at UBC, we hope. And I hope that this presentation gave you some ideas about what it would be like to be at UBC, some information about applying, and our campuses as well. So we are finished with our presentation here, but it doesn't have to end here. We would love to connect with you after this presentation. And here's a few ways that you can do that. So we would love for you to explore more of our campuses, either with an online virtual tour of either campus, or if you're close to one of our campuses, you can also come have an in-person tour. And we love to see you on our campuses and see what it's like to be there. You can also attend a virtual or in-person workshop in your area. You can find all these listed on our website, which is on you.ubc.ca. And there's also lots of information about all the things we've talked about today in our presentation and lots of answers to questions that you might have. Now, if you've explored all of that and you still have more questions or you want to connect more personally, you can send us an email with our email here on the screen, recruitment.ok@ubc.ca, or connect with us on social media. We've got it all: Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Snap, and Facebook. Now, I just want to thank you again for spending time with us. I hope this presentation was helpful, and I really hope to see you on campus in the future. Take care.